16,000 visas revoked for DUI, 12,000 visas revoked for assault, and 8,000 for theft. We also know about 8,000 student visas for foreign students studying here in the United States have been revoked. We're going to get you the full breakdown on those numbers.
It means get people out that are in our country, get them out of here. I want to get them out. We got a lot of people in our country that shouldn't be here. And they came in through Biden, and he was the worst president in the history of our country. But the single biggest thing he did was allow millions of people into our country that shouldn't be here. Drug dealers, prisons were opened up and allowed to come into our country. You take a look at the people that were allowed to come into our country. We're paying a big price for it, and we will for years to come, including the recent killer of two wonderful National Guards people. And I'll tell you what, that animal should not have been allowed to come into our country.
President Trump is deporting these are liberal criticisms. President Trump is deporting garden variety illegal immigrants, not just those who've committed violent crimes. Surely that's not what you voted for. No, that's exactly what I voted for. Okay, well, now he's using drones to blow up narco-terrorists in the Caribbean. Surely you didn't vote for that. Nope, again, that makes me happy. Well, how about this? He's sending the National Guard to major cities to impose order. That's a posse comitatus violation. Surely you didn't vote for the precedent that sets. Yep, all of it. All of it. I voted for all of it 1,000 times over. My only regret is we're not seeing it at a higher degree of intensity. Let's start with a video clip from Homeland Security. Here we go. Share this instead. Asylum overhaul. Trump and Secretary Noem are putting an end to the idiotic policies that allowed millions of illegal aliens and hundreds of thousands of foreigners into our country unvetted.
No, this could absolutely grow, Dana. This is evolving, especially as we do some real analysis on this. But I do think it's incredibly important for viewers to know what the prior administration was doing when it comes to vetting, especially when it came to this Operation Allies Welcome. This vetting was paper thin. They weren't doing biometric vetting. They weren't really doing criminal vetting, criminal screening, cyber screening, financial crimes. They weren't cross-referencing. They weren't looking at social media. So President Trump and Secretary Noem have completely overhauled this process to make sure we're diving in deep and seeing who are the people who are actually entering this country. As your past guests have said, almost 200,000 Afghan nationals entering this country, many of which were
200,000 just from Afghanistan. So to put that in context, 200,000. I'm going to ask Grok a question. What percentage of U.S. cities have a population of at least 200,000? 0.64%. So we brought over enough third worlders from Afghanistan to create a city that would be in the top half of 1% of U.S. cities in terms of population. And how's that working out for us? How much value are these Afghani immigrants adding to America? How much more America are they making America? These 200,000 Afghans.
Military-age men. The fact of the matter is the Biden administration didn't know who was coming into our country, causing a huge national security crisis. And that's exactly what we saw the other day with this terrorist attack and then this near terrorist attack out of Fort Worth, Texas, where this individual was threatening to blow up a building. Both of these individuals being Afghan nationals, both of them coming in under this Biden administration program.
So I'll just tell you my view. I don't want any vetting. I want zero vetting because I don't want them here. I don't want them here under any circumstances. Vetted, unvetted, they do not add value to America. I don't want them here, period. I don't care about the vetting. If vetting was even possible, which I don't believe it is. But even if we could 100% vet them, why are we bringing Afghanis to America? How does that serve America's interests? It just doesn't. Of course, even worse when you bring them over and there has been no vetting. Here's Kristi Noem. She writes, I just met with the president. I'm recommending a full travel ban on every damn country that's been flooding our nation with killers, leeches, and entitlement junkies. Our forefathers built this nation on blood, sweat, and the unyielding love of freedom, not for foreign invaders to slaughter our heroes, suck dry our hard-earned tax dollars, or snatch the benefits owed to Americans We don't want them, not one of them. And I am 100% on board with that. Carolyn Levitt just posted an article here. Trump administration cracks down on third world migration. And I have this little video of Trump, but I had to, Trump on Air Force One, of course, if you don't recognize the background. This account added music to it. So I had to do a little software manipulation, but I did want to share it with you. This is Trump talking about third world migration with
It means get people out that are in our country, get them out of here. I want to get them out. We got a lot of people in our country that shouldn't be here, and they came in through Biden, and he was the worst president in the history of our country. But the single biggest thing he did was allow millions of people into our country that shouldn't be here. Drug dealers, prisons were opened up and allowed to come into our country. You take a look at the people that were allowed to come into our country. We're paying a big price for it, and we will for years to come, including the recent killer of two wonderful National Guards people. And I'll tell you what, that animal should not have been allowed to come into our country.
Okay, well, I'm on 100% on board with that. And again, Trump's voice sounded funny because of the software I had to use to strip out the music that was overlaid on that clip. Benny Johnson, a good follow on X, writes, Biden turned the United States into the third world's safety valve. 173,000 immigrants every month. And by the way, every time you see one of these figures, just double or triple it. Foreign born reached 53.3 million. It's easily 4 times that between illegal and legal. Biggest number in U.S. history. They now hold almost 1 in 5 American jobs. How is that good for America? What other nation does that? President Trump's plan for what other nation does that for Americans? President Trump's plan for a total halt on third world immigration is not optional. It's essential for America's survival. Emphasis here on third world immigration. Now, I'm comfortable with freezing all immigration. But to the extent we are going to allow it, we should clearly prioritize migrants who come from first world nations. And there should be an absolute ban on migrants from third world nations. These are, again, I have to remind everybody, it's always the same map. Europe, America, North America, the continent, places colonized by Europeans, Russia. People live and breed and reproduce within cultures, within defined geographic zones. That's why we see these ready patterns here. President Trump's plan for a total halt on third world immigration is not optional. It's essential for American survival. Immigration ban plus mass deportations equals national recovery. The third world must stay in the third world. Everybody in their place. America must stay American. Absolutely. And this is the kind of lies the left told. I was telling you about all this when we were having the argument about illegals getting free health care, getting free food stamps, getting free housing. And the liberals would say, no, these are, none of that is provided to undocumented migrants. But what do the progressive fascists do? When people come here, the Democrats don't label them illegal. They don't even label them undocumented. They literally just hand them a document, and now they say, now you're a documented alien, and you do qualify. And they document everybody. Every illegal who came to the border that would have been turned away under Trump was simply handed a piece of paper, a court appearance document, let into the country, and they promised to show up in 3 years for their court date. And in the meantime, they're getting free housing, free healthcare, free education, free employment in competition with Americans, consuming infrastructure resources, consuming social services. And this is the New York Times. This isn't parody. This was casually printed in the New York Times as if it's not the most batshit insane thing ever said. Quoting the Times here. Mr. Biden allowed many migrants to enter the country temporarily as a way to incentivize them to avoid crossing the border illegally. You see what they did? It would have been illegal. They made it non-illegal by handing them a piece of paper, by documenting them. These people then became eligible to work in the United States in competition with Americans, to receive Social Security numbers, and in some cases to receive federal benefits. Elon Musk responds here, nuts. Absolutely nuts. And a book cover, Weapons of Mass Migration, Forced Displacement, Coercion, and Foreign Policy. I may have to look that book up. I hadn't seen that before. Little video clip here of Carolyn Levitt on all of this. Let's hear what she has to say.
We have paused all asylum adjudications, and then of course the special immigrant visas, which we know many Afghans utilize to come into the country under the Biden administration, have also now been paused. And I would just point out one more time that the Biden administration was responsible for the original sin that led to this tragic killing last week, the botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. He was responsible for Operation Allies Welcome, which is something that this White House and the people behind this podium in the last administration fully and wholeheartedly embraced. And they assured the American people there would be no risk or no harm to them. And as I just laid out for you in those many examples, that unfortunately and tragically has not turned out to be the truth. Just ask the families of these two brave National Guardsmen, one who is no longer with us and one who continues to fight for his life. So I know the president is wholeheartedly focused on this effort. And I think, unfortunately, these events do remind us why it's so important that the president's mass deportation operation continues.
And of course, it's not just this Afghani who killed one of these National Guardsmen and grievously wounded another. We are awash in 90 million illegal migrants in our country, many of them illegal drug dealers, many of them committing crimes. Every day in the news, you see a report of an illegal migrant driving drunk, slaughtering Americans. We see them with their dozens of convictions. We see them deported and returned, deported and returned. Every crime committed by an illegal is a bonus crime that America does not need. And even the ones not committing violations of criminal law when they're here, broke the law to get in, every day they're present is an offense to our national sovereignty, and every day they're present, they are consuming scarce American resources, housing, healthcare, education, employment, infrastructure, social services, like the human locust they are. Everybody must go home. More news on this. U.S. has revoked 80,000 visas so far in 2025, including 16,000 revoked for DWI, 12,000 for assaults, 8,000 for theft, 8,000 student visas. That's great, except the number should be 800,000, not just 80,000.
And Brett, this just breaking right now, the Secretary of State and the State Department are announcing that they have revoked 80,000 visas, American visas, in the year 2025. So far, we get a partial breakdown of those. I will read a couple to you. 16,000 visas revoked for DUI. 12,000 visas revoked for assault and 8,000 for theft. We also know about 8,000 student visas for foreign students studying here in the United States have been revoked. We're going to get you the full breakdown on those numbers.
More heightening of pressure on all this by the administration. DOJ confirms the illegal alien industry. Illegal aliens were issued Social Security numbers by the Biden-Harris terrorist administration. 270,000 in 2021. 590,000 in 2022, 964,000 in 2023, 2 million in 2024. Can you imagine what the Democrats would do if they got back in power again? Just add zeros. Just add an order of magnitude to every one of these numbers. It would be 2.7 million, 5.9 million, 9.6 million, 20 million. America would be obliterated as a culture and as a society. A little more Kristi Noem here because why not? She's not hard to look at.
You asked how many people came in. We think up to 100,000 people came in under.
Is that Greta on the left? Greta, what happened? Is that Greta or is that her grandfather in a wig?
Operation Allies Welcome that may be here that we don't know necessarily who they are or why they came to this country. If they came here truly maybe for asylum or if they were someone who had nefarious ideas on how.
No more asylum. No more asylum. No more refuge. Afghanis, it's a Muslim nation. There are 50 Muslim nations that can provide them with refuge and asylum. It doesn't need to be the United States.
To attack Americans or to undermine our way of life. What I would say on the vetting process is that has to happen before they ever come here. They have to be vetted before we allow them to get on a plane and come to the United States of America so that we know what their intentions are and who they are. And in order for us to do that, I know from the Department of Homeland Security standpoint, we have to have another government in another country that cooperates with us, that shares information with us, that will help us check dates of service and collect biometric information and data. That wasn't done by Joe Biden. It wasn't done by his administration. They did a vetting process, but it wasn't thorough. They didn't look at social media platforms, and that's all of the changes that President Trump is implementing. You asked how many.
Okay, good to hear. A little bit on this from my buddy Tim Pool. Says, immigrants are no longer coming to America to build ambitious futures through hard work, but to tap into government benefits and extract resources, scarce American resources from a government that just hands it over.
There's a viral video where it was a Somali running through a sand dune by the ocean. It looked beautiful. And then someone was like, conservatives discovering Somalia is beautiful is hilarious. And then the response from every conservative was like, then why are they coming here? Okay, go back there. Like in your beautiful country. No, they come here because we are giving away our wealth. We're being extracted. And I'm not the first person to say it. So when I look at what's...
Tim is so great. I really like him. But man, as he become conservative, not necessarily politically, but culturally conservative since he had a kid.
Causing this, it is this view of we can have a multicultural society where you can have Dearborn, Michigan with de facto Sharia law running in the background and female genital mutilation. And you can have the Somali community, but everyone's just stealing from the pot until there's nothing left in the pot. Where do we go from there? Well, everyone's going to live in an isolated, personal, algorithmic world where what they think is true is different from literally the person 5 feet away from them until there is no voting, there is no community, there is no lowest common, or the lowest common denominator is going to be that we eat food, I guess.
Yeah, we have to have one cohesive American culture. And that cannot happen if we're importing tens of millions of third world migrants. They do not assimilate. They cannot assimilate. It can only result in the fracturing and destruction of American society, as we're seeing in Dearborn, Michigan, as we're seeing in with the Muslims, as we're seeing in Minneapolis, Minnesota, with the Somalians, as we're seeing in states like North Carolina, with their increasingly huge Indian populations building 130-acre Hindu temple complexes with statues taller than the Statue of Liberty. That doesn't look like assimilation. That looks like conquest. Will Chamberlain got a funny bit here. President Trump is deporting these are liberal criticisms. President Trump is deporting garden variety illegal immigrants, not just those who've committed violent crimes. Surely that's not what you voted for. No, that's exactly what I voted for. Okay, well, now he's using drones to blow up narco terrorists in the Caribbean. Surely you didn't vote for that. Nope. Again, that makes me happy. Well, how about this? He's sending the National Guard to major cities to impose order. That's a posse comitatus violation. Surely you didn't vote for the precedent that sets. Yep, all of it. All of it. I voted for all of it 1,000 times over. My only regret is we're not seeing it at a higher degree of intensity. I talk about the third world migrants and including the legal migrants, including the 90 million legal third world migrants in our country competing for scarce American resources. Nathan Carson here writes, there's not a housing crisis because millennials and Zoomers demand too much. There's a housing crisis because we have over 30 million illegal aliens, 55 million aliens on legal visas. Those numbers, of course, are wrong. It's double that number. We have 90 million illegal aliens, 90 million aliens on legal visas, green cards, and paperwork naturalized citizens, all consuming housing. We have public equity groups buying up all the single-family homes, and wages are barely keeping up with inflation. Meanwhile, all the upper middle-class jobs are being outsourced overseas, replaced by H-1Bs, or made obsolete by AI. Saying young people should settle for less is how you get socialism. Stop making excuses for a broken system. If we sent home the 180 million third world migrants currently in America, it would instantly free up 45 million units of housing without driving a single nail, pulling a single building permit, pouring a single cubic yard of foundation. Like magic, we would have 45 million housing units. I think that would likely make housing more affordable. Carl Bennett says the founding fathers never intended for America to import third worlders and allow them to take over the U.S. while the Christian population shrinks. The 1965 Immigration Act, sell our heart, must be repealed. That was the inflection point where prior to that, almost all immigrants to America were coming from first world or at worst second world European nations with similar cultural backgrounds to the founders, and that like a switch was flipped, and almost everybody coming into America was suddenly from the third world with profoundly different worldviews and cultures and religious faiths, all incompatible with Western democratic principles, political foundations, a travesty. Brianna Morello says, and then we have guys like this, right? Amid H-1B dispute, Indian origin U.S. lawmaker brings back bill to double visa numbers. So we have congressmen who were born in India, and they're serving the interest of India. He wants to double the number of H-1Bs. The number should be 0. The number should be negative. But that's what happens. We elect these cultural Indians, and I presume he's become a naturalized citizen, but culturally he's India. The purpose of a system is what it does. The purpose of this politician is what he does. What's he doing? He's advocating for his true constituency, which are Indians in India who want to invade our nation. More in the housing. Breaking. This is major news. Beginning December 1st, the Trump administration will, that was yesterday, right? Yep. Will implement new rules targeting cash buyers and LLCs purchasing residential property in the U.S. Under the new FinCEN requirements, any residential real estate purchase made through a trust, LLC, or corporation must include a full disclosure report to allow the federal government to identify the real owners. This would impact not just public equity firms, but a lot of these third world migrants who come to America. When they steal our jobs, they steal our incomes. A very popular way to launder that money is through real estate. So they buy rental properties and they rent it out, and then they have another source of income, and those American citizens are never able to purchase their own homes and get a foot on the ladder of prosperity that home ownership traditionally has brought to Americans. Just remind everybody, the U.S. Constitution begins the preamble, "We the people of the United States, we the people of the United States, in order to form a perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote to general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity." Not the whole world, not everybody, to we the people of the United States. That's not India. That's not Djibouti. That's not Venezuela. That's not Haiti. That's the purpose of this nation. We the people of the United States, to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Here's an old school Rush Limbaugh clip I came across. I wanted to share with all of you.
Everybody's making immigration proposals these days. Let me add mine to the mix. Call it the Limbaugh laws. First, you immigrate to our country, you have to speak the native language. You have to be a professional or an investor. No unskilled workers allowed. Also, there'll be no special bilingual programs in the schools with the Limbaugh laws, no special ballots for elections, no government business will be conducted in your language. Foreigners will not have the right to vote or hold political office. If you're in our country, you cannot be a burden to taxpayers. You are not entitled to welfare or food stamps or other government goodies. You can come if you invest here, an amount equal to 40,000 times a daily minimum wage. If not, stay home. But if you want to buy land, it'll be restricted. No waterfront, for instance, and as a foreigner, you have to relinquish individual rights to the property. And another thing, you don't have the right to protest. You're allowed no demonstrations, no foreign flag waving, no political organizing, no bad-mouthing our president or his policies. You're a foreigner. Shut your mouth or get out. And if you come here illegally, you're going to jail. Now, you think the Limbaugh laws are harsh? Well, every one of the laws I just mentioned are actual laws of Mexico today. That's how the Mexican government handles immigrants to their country. Yet Mexicans come here illegally and protest in our streets. How do you say double standard in Spanish? How about no mas?
And Rush was always great. This is the little video clip of Trump I just played where his voice was a little garbled, but I like this comment. Captive Dreamer, if you told me the President of the United States would be talking like this even 5 years ago, get them out of our country, the third world migrants, I would have called you a lunatic. Years are happening in weeks here. Years of positive progress in shifting the Overton window on third world migration is happening unbelievably fast. Stephen Miller notes, the Democrat Party is organized around one essential command. No limit of any kind can be placed on the entry of third world migrants. The failed states of the world must be allowed to empty themselves out into America, and you must pay for their every need forever. The Dems, Beau French says, unlimited third world migrants, unlimited H-1Bs, unlimited repeat violent offenders, unlimited abortion, all at our expense. All at our expense. And Elon Musk responded to Stephen's note, 100%. Thank God for Elon Musk, or we wouldn't be able to talk about any of this. Everybody remember the censorship during COVID before Twitter became X?